The other subject that went on yesterday, and it broke yesterday morning, but we really didn't get too much into it. We kind of just talked about it in passing. That Xavien Howard, the charges were dropped, and when you look at this situation, here's the part that we all have to understand about Xavien Howard's charges being dropped and where the reality of all of this, okay? Now, let me read the story for you a little bit here so we could kind of walk you through what I want to get to. It says Broward County prosecutors have dropped the month-old domestic violence case against Xavien Howard after the alleged victim, his fiance, told authorities she no longer wants to proceed with prosecution. The county's state attorney's office said on Thursday. Now, the case was dismissed during a hearing in criminal court on Thursday morning. Howard's attorney, Michael Greco, had no further comment. Howard has been accused of pushing his fiancée into a glass wall at their Davie home during a heated argument about a purse on December 29th. Cops charged them with battery. Now, a 9/11 call released this week captured the alleged victim telling dispatchers that this was not the first time such behavior occurred. My fiance continues to think that he could just push me, throw me into a wall without me doing nothing just because of who he is, the woman says. But it's kind of getting to a point that it's just like it's getting physical. And according to the arrest report, Howard, the father of the woman's 3 children, grabbed both her arms, pushed her back up against the mirrored glass wall in the hallway of their bedroom. Howard then let her go, causing her to fall to the floor on her right arm, landing on his medical-assisted walking crutch, which was on the floor. Howard, a 2018 Pro Bowler at the time, was using it to get around season-ending knee injury. His fiancée had visible scratches, redness on her wrist and forearm, and redness of an abrasion on her right elbow from falling on the crutches, police said at the time. However, she and her attorney met with Broward prosecutors this week and asked them to drop the case and sign an affidavit of non-prosecution. She also stated that it was a situation that got out of hand and she has no fear of the defendant and no fear for her safety. There were no other witnesses to the incident, and our prosecutors said they were unable to proceed without testimony from the alleged victim. Okay? So the NFL is still investigating, but again, it's going to be hard for the NFL if there's no witness and nobody to corroborate the story and say. Now, all of this is disturbing at every level. Okay? Don't kid yourself and don't put yourself in some shell and don't be a blind-ass fan or an idiot or a moron and think this is nothing. This is extremely serious. This is a huge problem. And you must admit this, because I'll say it. Because I usually say things that a lot of you are thinking. I usually say things that most people don't have the guts to say. When you read that story, when you read the incident, and you think about that relationship, you only think it's going to get worse. And that eventually this situation is going to happen again, if it hasn't happened already since then. How many times do we see the battered woman drop the charges? How many times do we see the person that is battering the other person continue to commit the alleged crime? It happens more often than not. In fact, it's usually slim that this abuse doesn't stop. Okay? Usually this abuse will continue, and it'll happen again, and there'll be another incident, and Xavien Howard will then be suspended, and then the Dolphins will have to cut him at that point. I'm not telling you to cut Xavien Howard now. I'm not telling you that Xavien Howard is guaranteed guilty from here on out and that he's going to do it again and again and again and again. All I'm telling you is that when I read this, when I hear about these kind of situations, I think it usually never ends. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this is one of the few cases where they finally, Xavien finally grew up and figured it out and said, you know what, I'm not going to do any more scumbag things. Because make no mistake, hitting a woman is a scumbag thing to do. You are a freaking lowlife if you're beating your woman. And if you're doing what he did over a purse, are you kidding me? Come on. There's no place for that anywhere. I always wonder when I hear about these situations, where are her parents and brothers or whatever? I know X is a football player, but I got to tell you something. If that's my daughter and X does that, I guarantee you he'll never play football again. Okay?
I'll go with you.
No, I guarantee you Xavien Howard will never play football again. He'll meet my friend Louisville, and he thinks he has a knee problem now. The knee problems he's going to have, he's going to look, you know what, I was going to say something that is old. But then again, how am I going to do any, like, remember the golfer in Carol Burnett on his knees? What's his name? Tim Conway? I forgot the name of the, that he would be that character.
The little skit.
Yeah, that skit. Because his ass would be walking around in stumps. Okay? I always wonder about that. Like these guys that are beating on these, where are their loved ones? Because I would have to be arrested. I'm telling you. There's no way anyone is stopping me from, for sure, I'm telling you. He thinks what he thinks he did to his fiance would be a joke what I would do to Xavien Howard. Anybody that would hit my daughter, you're done, bro. You're done. That's the part I never understand about all of this. So let me tell you something about Xavien Howard. This is a situation that's really disturbing. Okay, and disgusting at every level. Because I believe he's guilty. I believe she's just another one of these battered women that protect the guy because it's their free ride and all that stuff and everything that goes on. Or she's sacrificing for the kids and all that stuff because the women sometimes that are battered, they're thinking about their kids and all that, and they take the abuse for the kids and all. I mean, it's a vicious cycle, and it's terrible. But this is something that if I'm the Dolphins, man, I am concerned as hell. Because now we're finding out about demons that guy lives with. And those demons are becoming public now. So this is a problem. And if I'm the Dolphins, when the draft rolls around, I'm not drafting one. I'm drafting a couple corners. Yeah. I got to draft a couple of corners. And at least one real corner, like a really high in the draft this year. And if you get another one later on in the draft because you got 14. But the following year, I'm taking another one high in the draft. Because of this. You have to be concerned. Plus, he's had a couple of knee injuries too. Where he's had a couple of scopes. But that's the thing about this, that do not look at this and sweep it under the rug and think it's no big deal. This is a huge deal. Okay? She's telling the dispatcher that this goes on often. And when you see, obviously she had the bruises and all that other stuff, and then she's not going to press charges, that's him begging, that's him, convincing her that he's not going to do it again and that he's a changed man and yada, 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 and all that stuff. Which, of course, we can never believe abusers. Unfortunately. That's just the way. And you know what? Here's the problem with domestic abuse. Nobody gets a break. And I'm talking about the guy, the person that's abusing. That person doesn't get a break, and that person doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. Do you know why we cannot give an abuser the benefit of the doubt? Because somebody's life is on the line. That's why. There's a woman in the middle of all of this. There are 3 kids in all of this. And I don't know if the beating goes down to the kids or not. But I tell you, this looks like a situation to me that Xavien Howard is guilty and got away with it like a lot of abusers get away with it because the other person does not prosecute early on, does not press charges. And sometimes they end up pressing, or they, when by the time we get to the point of pressing charges, it's too late. This is a really scary situation. And if I'm the Dolphins, I'm really nervous about Xavien Howard and his future.
Would it surprise you if the Dolphins didn't look to deal him, man,
no.
because of this?
Yes, it would, only because they just gave him a contract a year ago, and the cap hit would be brutal. And although they could absorb the cap hit right now because they have the space. But I don't think they'll do it now because it's fresh off the charges. So they'll wait a year for him to build his value back up again. He stays away from trouble in the next year. I can see him getting dealt next offseason, especially if he stays away from trouble, has a good year, and they drafted one that came through this past season. So if they draft somebody in April that becomes the guy opposite of X next year, then they go, okay, we could draft another one in the next draft. Let's get rid of Howard now. He's been out of trouble for a year. We might be able to move him. We'll take the cap hit. So, yes, I would be surprised now. But next offseason, I would not be surprised if Xavien Howard is moved.
If I'm the Dolphins, I come to him and I say, hey, man, this is the situation. Listen to what's heard. It's out there. You need to get counseling. Like, you got to go to counseling.
I'm sure
and
it's already part of it.
And see how his reaction is. See how he does that. And I would base it on what he does and his reaction to counseling.
All I know is this is a really serious situation, and it should not be taken lightly. And you should not look at it like this is a fluke thing, and this happened. This is an ugly situation, and it could get worse for the Miami Dolphins if this kid doesn't figure it out. It's a shame because we don't really know these people. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. We really never know these people. You doing all right, Michael? Good. It just disturbing. Oh, I lived in D.C. for a while. Every time Ovechkin had the puck, it was different than everyone else. Ferocious and an artist. Right? Yeah, I'm with you. The Panthers last night looked slow and lethargic. Their defense was atrocious. Golden Knights were flying by our defense. Let's see. What else do we have here? Michael Garcia says, love me a good rack. We all do. What up, Big O? How about the Heat? We talked about the Heat, Michael. You got to tune in earlier or listen to the podcast. But it was a beautiful thing what the Heat did last night. It was pretty much all Heat in the first hour. A lot of Heat. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, you're forgetting Xavien has durability problems. No, I mentioned his knees. I got it in there. Definitely. But I got to tell you something. That's not my concern that much. I'm not worried that much about a couple scopes. That's just like that's an icing on the cake, a caveat to the problem. You know, but the real problem is domestic violence. That's terrible. It's disgusting. I can't have any respect for any man that hits a woman. Okay? You beat on animals, kids, or women, and for me, my brother, I have no forgiveness for you. Okay? None. I say it all the time. We can say sorry to each other about a bunch of things. There are some things that sorry don't fix. And I don't believe that you beat a woman and then you tell her you're sorry. No, bro. What the hell is that? You beat your child and then you're going to say you're sorry? No. 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 You're not supposed to do that at all. You're not supposed to think it. It's not supposed to even cross your mind. That's the way I look at it. I don't have any tolerance for that kind of stuff at all. It would be really difficult for me to own a pro sports team. Because I swear I would walk into that locker room and I'd look at all those men in their eyes and I say, man, let me tell you guys something. If you guys, I hear that you laid a finger on a woman, on a child, or an animal, I'm kicking your ass out of here. I don't want anything to do with your disgusting self. And I would say it just like that. And I would look at all of them in the eye and I'd say, I just want you to know that the second I find that out, I think you're the lowest piece of S there is on the planet. So I won't want you here, part of this family or anybody else. Because I don't believe that any man, a real man, has to do that. Ever. That's not something you ever resort to. And when you do that, it tells me that there's something wrong with you. That you can't handle certain things. It's bad, man. And so don't underestimate this Xavien Howard situation.
You know, it's kind of disgusting, though. We know how serious the state now takes this domestic violence situation. They don't mess around. They take you into custody if there's any question, you know what I mean? And
right.
A lot of times, both of them, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he's a football player, the fact that he has money, the fact like that this is being swept under the carpet, man.
Right.
And you have the recording of her saying this has happened before.
They can't.
This is disgusting.
It's the law. You can't do anything without the witness. That's just the way it is. It's always been that way.
You know what? They need to change it. Look, we have a recording. We don't need the witness. We have a recording.
It could be a lie. The recording could be a lie.
That's true.
So you never know. Yeah. Not that she went and beat herself up, because that's also possible that she banged herself all over the place.
Well, they specified, the cop on the scene specified that he saw smears on the mirror.
It happened. Of course it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's never gone out of his way to say, oh, no, she slammed herself. And he never said any of that. He's never said any of that. He's actually not said anything, which, of course, is pretty much you're guilty. Again, he got lucky, like a lot of abusers get lucky. A lot of these guys that are abusing women, they get lucky because the woman restrains and the woman does not go after him. And it's terrible. It's terrible. You have to go after him. You can never, ever forgive that. That's the way I look at it. I'm sorry if it sounds cold and cruel to some of you out there, but I just don't have tolerance for that.